All right. Well, I'm about to get this cranked up. Got a few other people, I believe, joining here. Well, I know I've got one joining, but he's going to be running just a couple of minutes late. Let's see here.
Hey.
Oh, hold on 1 second there.
Let me stick some headphones in here.
Okay.
There we go.
The guy. Okay.
That way there's no feedback on here. All right. You can still hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
The guy I'm waiting on that I normally do this with, he's running just a few minutes late, so.
That would be the Vapor Chronicles guy.
That's Quest4vape.
Oh, okay.
How's it going?
Pretty good over here in Louisiana. Where you at?
Oh, there we go.
Hey.
Hey, Daryl.
Good morning.
We got an extra in here today.
Hey, nice to meet you. Who's that?
I woke up early enough. This is Zach from Vape in Moderation.
Hey, what's up, Zach? Vape in moderation.
That's what I practice, man. Moderation and everything.
Cool name. All right, nice to meet you.
All right, well, I'm Scott from ST Vapes, and take it away, Daryl.
I'm Daryl Shergan, Quest4vape from Long Island, New York. Started vaping about a little over 9 months ago, and after smoking for 20+ years, quit. And I don't vape in moderation. I vape to extreme excess every chance I get, as hard and fast as I can.
I hear you, man. I'm originally from Massachusetts, so I'm originally from up your way, but I live in Louisiana now. This is my love.
Louisiana, all right, cool, man. Do you have a YouTube channel, dude?
Yeah, Vaping Moderation.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll have to check that out after this.
And I was smoking for 20 years, 20+ years as well, and as soon as I got the right device in my hand, man, it was like no freaking problem.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, Daryl.
Yeah.
He's the one. I don't know if I told you, but he's the one. He's got. I think he's got his hands now. That boxer mod,
Oh, what is that?
dude. That is an awesome mod right there.
SX350J, up to 150 watts, runs dual battery. Should be an update for titanium here soon. I did get the update for titanium on this. This now supports 100 joules in titanium mode, and
100 joules.
yeah, 100 joules in titanium mode, and 120 watts in regular wattage mode.
Wow. Was that the IPv4?
Yeah, this is the IPv4. Yeah, I love mods, man. I'm an electronics guy. I've been an electronics guy since I was young. So vaping just kind of hit a chord with me because I love building different mods. I got friggin' 3 projects waiting to be done, and like freaking 5 mods over here that I built.
Oh, okay. Hey, I can hear the Massachusetts coming out of your voice every once in a while. I hear the accent come through.
Yeah, I pocket every once in a while.
Well, I'm right up the road from you, man. I'm just right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm going to be the true Southerner out of the bunch. But speaking of the IPV, they've got a new 120 watt coming out.
But they released an update that made this equivalent.
Exactly.
So we thought that they were going to leave this in the dust and just come out with a new mod, but they actually released the update for it. I just checked this morning, got the update, updated, it works fine.
Awesome.
So this is equivalent to the 4S now, as far as I understand.
Well,
cool, man.
I'm running the IPv3 LI,
That's a good mod.
You can do the go up to 200 on it and 100 joules when you do the update, and then it'll also let you do the titanium on it. So pretty much, I guess they're doing it with everything now. So
yeah, well, they made a mark on the market. It took a lot of share away from DNA, and they have been doing it right as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love the IPv3 Li. I haven't upgraded it yet, but I'm going to try and find somebody with the skill set that I can upgrade that to 200 watts. Today I'm vaping on I'm in stealth mode. Let me get this.
Oh, I've seen that. That's the 60 watt TC?
Yeah.
Yeah, from either Camry or
SMY.
SMY, right.
It's a little cutie. And I'm not running it in temperature control today. I'm just running the Mutation version 4 Shorty, the mini, and it's just it's a cute little stealthy. It's like the size of my palm. So.
That's why I like this boxer, man. This boxer is tiny.
Yeah.
For a dual battery mod, that thing it's sweet. Fits right in my pocket.
Who makes that one?
This is by Team Kangas on Shapeways, but now you can only get the kit through gingervapor.com. Huh. And they'll sell you the kit for $169, which includes the chip and the case and everything, all the contacts that you need, or the mod itself for $249, already built with a 6-month warranty.
I'm guessing you built it yourself because you like to tinker.
Yeah, I bought it when it was still on Shapeways. They removed it from Shapeways like right after I ordered mine, and so I was able to get my chip on a deal for $60. So I paid like $130 total for this mod.
Very cool. Looks nice, man.
And I got on top of it, I got the Revel RDTA. This is a true RDTA. It has a little dripper base right here. You can see the 3-post design, and inside there is a little drip where if you push the button right here, it drips down on the coil.
Damn.
Cool.
Or down on both coils. It can actually do double dripping, but I've got one of the holes plugged.
Where the hell did you get that at? Because I haven't, I'm super big into tanks, and I haven't seen that one.
I got 2 of them. It's called the Revel by EH Pro.
Okay.
I did a review on it on my channel, and then an updated review because I bought a second one. Because if you run out of juice in this, you just open it up and start dripping on it.
That's awesome.
And if you got it on a temperature control mod, you can vape it dry and try a totally different flavor than whatever's in your tank.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So like, yeah, it's ultimate when I go to my friend's house and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, you gotta try this flavor. You gotta try this flavor." So I'm like, "All right, let me vape this thing dry." They're like, "Oh, you got a tank." I'm like, "Nah, man, you can just drip right on there. It's cool."
Look at that. That's awesome. I might have to check that out.
And it's got huge air. Look at the, it's got those double cyclops all the way around, and then it's got the ridges on here so you can block off as much airflow as you want. It's supposed to be dual coil, really, if you want, you know, the perfect airflow on it, but it works just fine in single mode too.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
That is nice. I like that. I've got that tobacco super tank coming in today. Been kind of curious about that one. They say it's supposed to really be able to chunk some cloud on it, but we will find out.
I'll tell you, one I got that's chucking clouds is this, shit, who made this?
Crown?
Yes, the UL by Crown. This motherfucker, for a tank? Oh my god.
I know it well.
Hey, that's the Crown man right there.
I know the Crown very well. Yeah. It's cool. Very cool.
Hey, Daryl, let me ask you something. Now
Sure.
that we're speaking of that, I've actually found one website here in the States, and I cannot believe it. It's where I get my juice from. They're carrying a couple of the tanks.
Awesome, man. What website is that?
That No Leaf Vapor,
Cool.
where I'm getting my juice, I can't believe they had it, but they've only got it in the 0.5.
Well, you want to hear the shit about that?
Yeah.
Using any of the mods like the Danny Extreme or the DNA 200 where you can program in the coefficient, the resistance coefficient, you can use those stainless steel coils in temperature control.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
There's people already out there doing it because it has a temperature coefficient. It's not like Canthol's so close to neutral, it's not really easy to do temperature control on it. But stainless steel has a coefficient that is worth looking into.
Interesting.
Well, I have noticed here just in actually the past couple days, they have just started making nickel coils for the Crown.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I have in here is a nickel.
Okay. Well, I like to do at least a 0.225. I don't know where I can get my hands on the damn coils because the only thing they've got is the 0.5 version and the 0.5 extra coils to buy. So
if you wait a few weeks, there is a rebuildable base coming to the UL. I've already seen it. I want to get my hands on it, but I've seen it and I know it's in the pipeline. There's a rebuildable base coming for this.
well, he's probably fixing to pull one out. Hold on.
What?
Yeah, I have. After the call, shoot me your address and I'll send you out. I did a review early on and I helped promote the Crown tank because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so they didn't pay me for that or anything like that. I just did it because it's awesome in vaping. But they did send me a couple of the rebuildables, and I do have a bunch of coils. So my friend Scott, I will get you out some 0.25 coils. I'll get you out a couple of nickel coils, and I will send you one of the couple. I mean, they sent me like 4 of them, and I'm using one. I gave one to a fellow locally. I will send you one because you're big into tanks, and it's good to know Quest4vape.
Oh yeah.
That's what's up.
I don't have it right now. Like it's in the house, so I'm in my backyard. But otherwise, I'd show you. It's pretty cool as far as rebuildables go.
How does it compare to like the Kanger rebuildable, the new Kanger deck?
You could put a bigger coil in it. Yeah, I've seen. That's the one with the screw on the side now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Kanger figured out that you don't really need to screw down and have that threaded. So now it just pushes in and there's a screw holding it. UL has one that just presses into place and there's no really any pressure pulling on it. So you just push it on there. It stays with an O-ring. The 2 posts are wide, right up next to the cap. I wish I had it here in front of me.
It's a 2-post?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up.
So it's wide and like there's barely a millimeter between. So you really have, like, it's precise. I mean, they're very precise in their engineering. But you got these two posts on the outside, so I'd recommend wrap the wire on and cut the lead pointing in, not out, so it doesn't hit that chimney or the guard. But it is cool, and it's wide, so you can do it probably vertical coils if you wanted to. You know, the stovepipe style. It's definitely, it's got room to experiment, I would say.
That's what's up, man. That is what's up.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what some creative folks. The fellow that I gave it to here in Long Island, his name is Joe. He did a twisted wire, like yeah, he did like not a Clapton, but he did a twisted wire, and it was vaping really nicely. One thing I would say about the rebuildable is when you get your hands on it, make sure when you're filling the tank that you close off the airflow, otherwise it will leak right out. But if you close the airflow, because it just needs that surface tension while you're filling it, when you have that top fill open and then the air holes open, it just doesn't create that vacuum, that suction. So the juice, he wasted a bunch of juice, and he was like, "This thing doesn't work." I'm like, "Wait a second, close the air holes," and he was like, "Oh, son of a gun, that worked." Something that simple, but
no, the top fill in that UL. I have a couple of top fills here, but this is the best top fill I've had.
Who else? I know that Beyond Vape has the Silo Beast, and then Yude has one. Who else has a top fill right now?
Oh, man, the one I've got coming in's got top fill. Hold on, I'm fixing to go.
The Earl Konigan and the Earl Konigan style atomizers all have top fill.
I'm not familiar with those either. But it's awesome. It's like, wow, yeah, we don't need to be in the archaic times of turning things upside down. Let's fill it from the top. You got it right there?
No. Yeah. Oh.
This is the UL. You unscrew it a little bit, and you can just twist this, and it opens up two holes in the top.
Very cool.
And then you just twist it back and tighten it down. The holes are really tiny. You have to you almost have to have a syringe to get in there.
This was top fill.
Which one's that?
That's the OBS.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
I tell you what, there's a lot of tanks out there now that are going to top fill, so I think we're going to see more of that than anything now.
That's the frontier that needed to be filled.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm tired of unscrewing my Addy and pulling it apart every time I need to fill it. It gets boring.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't be happier with the quality of manufacturing that's coming out of China these days for vaping, and I almost feel like fortunate to be vaping in these times versus a year, 2 years, 3 years ago when folks had to deal with festering cartomizers and stuff. I could see why people went straight to dripping back in the days, because who wants to deal with all this nonsense when you get yours?
Yeah, but it was so much simpler, right? Like when you wanted a tank, you got a Pro Tank, and that was pretty much what you did. Now I have to experiment with 20 tanks a month just to see what the frick is out there.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
It's more expensive.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. Hey, what's everybody's favorite juice today?
Well, I'm on the serial killer today.
Okay, cool.
I'm on this Vigilante Rogue by Vigilante. I'm not even sure what the flavor on it is.
Cool. I'm vaping Apple's Beignet from Vape Meister up in Pennsylvania. Like,
how do you all know what a beignet is up there?
I didn't until I got this juice, and then I imagine it's some kind of fried doughy pastry that's delicious.
Yeah, well, you would know it as fried dough.
Okay.
You would know it as a fried dough stand, basically.
Well, they made a vape juice out of it, and it's damn good. Can't get enough of it.
That's a nice little setup there. That thing's real stealthy.
Yeah, cutie. I was like, why don't I put the Mini on the Mini? And
how's your battery doing on that? Like, I was afraid the screen would be sucking down your battery.
Not too bad. I mean, it only goes to 60 watts, so a battery will last me. I haven't really vaped on it a full. I'm gonna just only vape on this today and see how long I get out of the battery. But
what you got in there?
I've got a 3,000 milliamp hour dough can. They gave me some samples down in Miami. Jury's still out on that. Whether there's the logo. Oh, since I'm not pulling a lot of amps off of it, I figured let me use a high milliamp hour battery and see if I get see if it wows me on the battery life.
Yeah, I've been using. I've been really surprised with the LG HG2s, the brown ones. These are 3,000 mAh, and they're 20. Yeah, 20 amp at 3,000 mAh.
Those are the new ones that just came out, right?
Yeah, and these ones are the LG MJ1s. They're 3,500 mAh, but it's only 10 amp battery.
Ah.
But I run 25 watts, so 10 amps is kind of enough for me.
Yeah.
And that runs in series, isn't it? The one you got.
I actually ran mine. I bought the last parallel one you could buy.
Oh,
both batteries go up, but I could easily run it in series if I wanted to, just be one wire run differently.
Okay, that's right, because I think you did that in your video. You were talking about how that was ran.
Yeah, because I knew I had these LG MJ1s in my set, and I wanted to test them, but I didn't want to go just 10 amps, so the two of them together is 20 amps, which will handle however much I feel like freaking out. And I don't go above 60 watts, which is what this thing's capable of, so it's my zone.
Okay.
Those two batteries will last you forever.
Yeah, I've been getting, right now, this is set of batteries been running exclusively, and I have 66,000 joules on it, which is, let's see, which is 18.33 watt hours. So I've gotten a fair amount out of this motherfucker already.
Cool.
Now, see, that is funny right there, because look where we started at in vaping, and this is where we're at now, where we can bring up stuff on the computer and check into everything.
Yeah, well, I actually have a little spreadsheet here that I've been creating, testing different batteries to see what kind of watt hours I actually get out of it, and so far the watt hour has been commensurate to what it's supposed to be on all my batteries.
Have any of y'all tried the new Sigelli batteries yet? If they're even actually made by them?
Yeah, I try not to touch anything but like the main brands, LG, Samsung.
I have.
Sony.
I picked a set of Sigali batteries up. I may even have them. I don't think Sigali started manufacturing batteries. I think that's just a rewrap off somebody else. But I got them back in April, and I use them, and they function just fine. 30 amp, 2,500 milliamp hour. There you go. They work fine. Nothing better or worse than any other particular. I used the pair in box mods, just married to my IPV. I haven't used it. In like a mech mod.
Gotcha.
I'm actually getting some IMREN batteries. I ordered a bunch of all the different, like the 35 amp and the 40 amp. I want to see how they do, and I think I'm going to do a video with. So they say they're also. I bought some Sonys. They say they're authentic, and I bought some Samsungs. So I'm going to compare like eFest, IMREN, Sony, and Samsung. And if anybody else wants to throw some batteries in the mix, they can contact me. But I doubt it. I'm not a big enough guy that people throw free shit at me on a regular basis. But I did want to do like a what's all this nonsense about batteries. I don't have the technical ability to test batteries and see, and I don't have the patience to really do spreadsheets. So I applaud you, my friend. But if you want to jump in and collaborate on that, maybe we'll do like a whole hour-long thing on batteries and talk about that.
Yeah, I'm still going through my tests, and I still got the Samsung 25Rs to throw heat through here. And I do have a battery tester. It's not a high amp tester, but it will tell you how much milliamps you get out of the battery and stuff. And then my charger tells you how much milliamps it charges into the battery, which like gives you on the back end when you charge it up how many milliamps did you actually get to drain out of the battery kind of deal.
That's interesting. What charger is that?
This is the X-Star VC4.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
It's got a little digital display. It tells you how fast it's charging and stuff like that. It's a good charger. It charges all my batteries to 4.2.
I like that information it provides. I like to know, like, how close to the edge did I get when I used these batteries.
What you're going to find is that you never, ever drain the full amount of mAh from the batteries. And the reason is because when they test the batteries, they do a voltage cutoff of like 2 volts or 2.5 volts, but your mod is going to cut off at like 3 volts. So it's never going to, your mod will not allow you to extract that last bit of mod from there. It's just not happening.
In most cases, I think that's true. Actually drained a pair of batteries down at 2.5 volts using the Kung Fu box from SimIU.
Is that a mech mod?
Yeah, it's an unregulated
parallel. Yeah. Mechs would be able to, you'd be able to do anything with a mech, certainly. You could blow a battery up with a mech, sure.
So yes, okay, good point. I didn't mean to sound ignorant, which I am,
no.
But what surprised me was it's a parallel box, and I was hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, and I didn't notice, like normally on a mech mod, if the battery's drained out, it starts hitting weak. So that's when I know to pull it out and recharge it. But on this thing, because there was 2 batteries and it was in parallel, it just kept hitting as hard as when I first popped them in. So I was like, wait a second, how long have these been on here? Let me go check let me check and see if they need to be recharged. And they were at 2.5. I threw them out. I took them to the Home Depot and recycled them.
You'd have still been all set. Shoot, they do that at the factory. They're safe to go down to 2 volts. They're safe to go down to 2 volts.
Oh, really? Okay. I freaked out. I heard that you never want to drain them below 3, and if you do that, then they're dangerous and untrustworthy. So
they'll usually heat up more, but if you have them running in parallel like that, the chances, it was probably handling the load fairly well.
Okay.
Well, hey, those the 25Rs, Samsung, those are awesome batteries right there.
Oh yeah.
Been running the hell out of them.
I agree. So far, they've been my favorite. Once I had a set of green Sonys that I believe were authentic. I bought a lot of ones that were claimed to be authentic and turned out to be just, not. They're okay. They function, but that one set of batteries was just they lasted forever. They had just such a powerful charge right off the. Yeah, there you go.
I've had these since January and use them pretty much in a good rotation. They still work their ass off, and I can get moderate vaping day and a half off of them easy still. So, so I believe I actually got some authentic BTC4s, but yeah, there's been, you can go on that one site and there's so many things on there. I think me and you talked about this, Daryl, about them showing the pictures of, hey, if it's discolored here or the wrap looks like that, you got some phonies or whatever. But
the easiest way I've found to check the VTC4s, because I've had a fake pair and a real pair. The QR code on it will be different on every single authentic VTC4. It will be a totally different QR code, so much so that you should notice the difference just looking at it. You shouldn't have to scan it or anything. Whereas the fake ones will copy the same QR code on every battery.
Gotcha. Good to know that.
Have you ever scanned the QR code on one of those? Does it? I
haven't. But I imagine it's just a string of numbers to reach back to the actual manufacturing plant batch number, that sort of thing.
Interesting.
But the fakers, the ones that are faking them don't care to figure out where it came from or what lot number. They just want it sold and gone.
They don't have to fool everybody. They just want to fool like a good majority and get their stuff sold. But hey, as long as they don't blow up and they work well, but not at, like, I mean, some people are charging $15-20 per battery, and they're not. That's a shame. And I hate to see that kind of a ripoff going on, which it is.
Well, if you're looking for a good battery supplier, Illume has never let me down.
Okay, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're not too expensive, $6, $7, $8 a battery. Plus shipping, it usually runs you about $10 a battery, but it's totally worth it because every battery I've received from there was top notch.
I usually grab batteries when I'm at shows because they have them for like $5, $6, and I'll grab a bunch, and then so usually from one show to the next I can abuse my batteries between like vape conventions and stuff.
Never been to one.
Oh really? Ah, they're awesome. They're worth going. And I've been known to, like, if I'm in a vape shop, I do builds. I don't charge money, but if I'm around and the guys are busy and somebody needs a build, I just jump into it. And when I find these kids have like these pestering, like nasty melted peeling batteries, I confiscate their batteries and I give them a new one.
Yeah.
You're gonna sit there and give me 20 minutes worth of excuses why they can't buy a new battery. I don't want to read about the guy in the newspaper tomorrow, so I'll just be like, here. So my older batteries, I'm not going to give them a brand new set that I just bought, but good condition, functional, reliable batteries, and that's where my batteries go. They go out there, and I'm planting seeds of goodwill out there and paying it forward.
Does your shop rewrap batteries?
Yeah, there's a couple of shops around here that have the rewraps. They have the sleeves, they have the hair dryer, and I've gone in there and done a bunch of rewraps, and I can't figure out which batteries they originally were, and I'm confused. So by the time a battery needs a rewrap for me, it's ready to go to Home Depot to their recycle bin. I don't abuse my. I try and take good care when I'm taking them out and not rip them up.
I've had a few accidents.
Yeah.
Have you? Well, can we talk about that? Do you mind sharing, like, when you? Because it hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm sure it will. I mean, I'm using equipment, and sooner or later.
Yeah, it's most of the time the biggest accident I've had was the top layer of a battery peeling off right up here, because that white is around the ground. So if this gets peeled off at all on the top, just pulling it out of the battery sled can short it.
Ooh.
And so I've had sparks fly, the smell of burning plastic and stuff, because of course, batteries that were thrown out, not batteries that are here. But and then I've burnt out a couple of chips by accident doing the exact same thing, just having a shitty wrap on a battery and accidentally touching the positive and negative. And a lot of chips have reverse battery protection, but they don't have like instant short protection, which, like, when you do that, that's what you're sending up you're sending a full short right down the line.
That's the way the DNA boards were before they upgraded those. You put the battery in wrong, bam, your chip's fried.
Yeah, and now it's still that way if you have like a parallel configuration and you flip them in upside down, or if you have there's certain ways you can still burn out an evolved chip.
I know on the Vapor Shark, if you put it in wrong, you know, you just get the loud humming out of it, you know, just to let you know. Have you ever heard that on those?
I don't intentionally put any of my batteries in backwards.
Well, I mean, actually, it was a fail-safe that was built into it, which is pretty sharp. I mean, I'll give you a quick demo on it. It's a fairly loud noise, too. So if you put it in wrong...
Oh. So they like built that extra in there.
Yeah. And it'll just keep humming. So...
Hey, it happens. It happens from time to time. People get absent-minded. You got things on your mind. It's going to happen. The more and more vapors there are in the world, sooner or later, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Fact of life. So, have you ever dropped your car keys? Have you ever dropped your cell phone and cracked the screen? It's going to happen.
Yeah. I worry about leaving a mod in the car. Is my biggest concern right now is forgetting my mod in the car, because here it'll be 100 degrees outside. And in your car, it's got to get up to frickin' 200 degrees in there. You know, it's got to get ridiculously hot. Be worried about batteries sitting in that kind of heat.
Yeah. And
Worth mentioning.
I get guilty of that too, because I go to work at 3, and say if I carry this and I take an extra battery with me and leave it out there, I'm kind of thinking, man, that heat's out there rolling. I hope nothing bad's going on. So probably not wise to do.
I used to just I have a vape bag, my man purse. This is and I have I mean, 5 to 10 mods in there, just so I never know what I'm going to want to get my hands on if I'm out of the vape shop or something. So I just leave everything in there. And I was in the habit of leaving my batteries just sitting there in the mod, like, and I mean, 5 Pawns has these really cool sleeves that their juice comes in, so I save those, and I'll put my mods in there. But still, you know what? A couple of months ago, I decided I'm not going to leave mods sitting around. If I'm not using it, I'll take the batteries out, charge them, and put them away. And it's a safer practice because, you know, I guess I got lucky, nothing bad happened. But if I had that sitting in the car, or even just, hey, shit happens. It's just better to, like, you don't leave your power tools around plugged in just for anybody to trip on and have a power saw turn on. So why would I do that with these?
I don't even leave my toaster plugged in because I'm afraid that thing's going to get me one day.
I don't think you can ever err when you're on the side of caution. It's
Right.
The safer the better.
Hell, I just get nervous at times if I've got my 18650s charging in a charger and I'm in the next room because I keep getting up, walking past there. Okay, everything good? All right, we're good. So.
Yeah, I have my fire detector right above my charge station so that if this thing puffs any kind of smoke, that thing goes right off.
Smart. Have you ever had any problems with chargers?
No, I haven't had any problems, but I have a few friends that are into RC. I have a couple of RC toys, and they all said the same thing, which is if it's going to fail, it will fail during charging.
Yeah.
So that's kind of your critical zone.
And a lot of that stuff is your LiPo batteries, isn't it, on your RC stuff?
Yeah. Which
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, for them, it's like they damage the battery while they're using it, and then when they go to charge it, that's when it goes off. It doesn't, like, it might not go off immediately when they crash their helicopter, but when they go to charge it is when it blows up.
Mm.
Those vent very violently, those LiPo batteries, huh?
Yeah.
I have a variant that uses that. It's the only device I have that uses LiPo, and I don't know, man. One time I took the battery out and it was really puffed up, and I said that can't be good. So and I tried. I took it to a hobby shop near me that has a lot of remote control cars and stuff, and I said, "What's up with this?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, throw that out. Take it right to Home Depot. That's no good anymore because the gases are being released." So I didn't know, and here I am vaping with you know, I love that variant, but I've been terrified. Like, I don't know what caused that. I was like, what caused it to happen? He said one of the cells drained too low. So I don't know if the device is malfunctioning and allowed that to happen, but that shouldn't happen. So my variant's on sabbatical right now.
That's what's got me so scared to get a DNA 200.
Exactly, because that new Opus mod has got the LiPo in it.
Yeah, the DNA 200 is expecting you to have a LiPo. It's not really. You could do triple 18650 if you want to have a mod that like is much bigger than this, because this is a triple 18650 and there ain't enough room in here for a DNA 200.
What mod is that?
This is the Camry 220 watt. It runs triple battery in series.
Very cool.
So it runs about 12, 13 volts. You could jump start your car, start a little fire if you're camping or something, you know.
I have the SMI 260 watt, and it uses 3 18650s, and I love it.
And it has an ego adapter.
Yeah.
220 watts, and it has an ego adapter.
It's an Asian thing. It's like an Asian thing.
There you go. So you put your little ProTake 3 on it.
Yeah, and blow your face right off your head, man. Cool. It's cool.
Well, hey, you know that new Evic by Joytech is supposedly running 3 LiPos in it, because it's supposed to be right at. I think they're claiming it's supposed to get about 5,000 milliamp out of it.
That's what they claim.
So,
Wow.
So that's got
big LiPo.
Yeah. On a small device at that too. So.
Yeah, the Opus mod is only 950 mAh.
And I was looking at their site, Mike Bates did a video on it, and I went to their site and was looking, and it was stating that you could get roughly, I think that was the equivalent of about 3,500 milliamp out of that LiPo that they're running in it.
Yeah, because when you run it in series, you don't get to add the mod together, but because the voltage goes up, then your watt hours go up with it. Because your watt hours are based on your voltage, your nominal voltage multiplied by your mAh, and then divided by 1,000. So when you run in series, even though you don't get to add the mAh together, your voltage goes up, so your watt hours go up as a multiple of that.
So what do you think, since you're pretty knowledgeable on this? I know Vapor Shark is about to put out with the DNA 200. What do you think that their battery situation is going to be? Because they've never used a LiPo.
What I can tell you, I don't know what their battery situation is going to be, but of all the mods that I've looked at building for the DNA 200, I think 1,300 mAh was the biggest battery that they were accommodating, and that was for a big hand mod, like the size of that camera.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I say a 5,000 mAh 3S would probably, it would have to be pretty large. I don't know, I don't have so many LiPos to be able to say for certain. Yeah. But I will say what they're recommending for the DNA 200 are batteries that are between 900 and 1,300 mAh.
Well, I've got one LiPo device, and I just bought this just because it was a novelty thing, I think. But, that little 60-watt MVP, and it's got the LiPo in it. But now it's been a good device so far. I've had it a couple of months, but...
Well, the LiPo required to run 60 watts is going to be a lot smaller than the LiPo required to run 200 watts.
Exactly.
Good point. What other commonly known mods use a LiPo that you'd not normally think about? Would anything just
like an iStick?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Anything that doesn't have a removable battery, I think, is going to be LiPo.
No. The iStick actually runs a built-in 18650.
Oh.
The 50. Well, here we go.
The 50 watt is just two 18650s in there, right?
Two, and the iStick 30 and 20 is just one.
Oh. Okay.
But that's I've beat this one into the ground as always. That iStick 50 is dangerous. There's a lot of issues going on with it. Mine's a natty holder in my case. That's all it is. So it was kind of to me a poor constructed job. But there's quite a few mods out there actually that's running LiPo.
What about the jellyfish? Anybody know what kind of, is that a LiPo inside that?
What's the jellyfish?
The lotus jellyfish.
I've seen them, but I don't know it.
I have one around now. It's in the house. I was just curious. 4,000 milliamp hour battery. They came out around December, January. It's a 53 watt box mod, but it's pulse width modulation type. Yeah. So 50 watts hits like 100 on an 18650.
That's LiPo. That's LiPo.
That's what that Snow Wolf does after, I think it's 150, even though that has external batteries, but...
See, I can't buy anything that doesn't have a replaceable battery. And that's one of the things about switching to a DNA 200 is I hate the idea of having to stop using my mod to charge the battery.
Exactly. Well, in time, too, with something like that, I mean, when it comes time where that battery's no good anymore, I mean, how long are you actually going to get out of it? And on a DNA, the new one, I haven't seen them any cheaper than $225 right now. So...
Good point. So when the battery goes, the mod's done, and unless you want to break it open and try and figure out which you could probably do, but I would not.
Yeah, I would most certainly replace the battery, but there's a difference between me being able to replace the battery and get the mod moving again, and being able to hot swap the battery when I'm midday running low. That. Sure. And the idea of pass through like being able to charge and hit at the same time, that is a complete fallacy. And the reason is because, do you know of any USB chargers that charge higher than 2 amps?
No.
No, because it can't handle higher than 2 amps. And when you hit your mod, you're hitting more than 2 amps. So how could the USB possibly charge your battery and allow you to hit it at one time? It can't. There's just absolutely no way. You're going to draw 7 or 8 amps, and this USB is going to be trying to supply 2 amps? Yeah, right.
Hey, it's a good selling device, though.
They say it all the time, pass-through charging, like it's some kind of feature, but it doesn't actually exist. There's no way to do that.
Yeah.
So then what it must do is as soon as you go and hit the fire button, it stops charging, lets you drain. That can't be good for the battery.
No, because when you're charging the battery, you're supposed to let it charge all the way up uninterrupted. You're not supposed to be charge a little bit, drain a bunch, charge a little bit, drain a bunch.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to be operating a battery like that.
Well, and the life of it, you're going to decrease it so bad. So
the solution to that is if you haven't timed your day correctly and you run out of battery, own more than one device.
Yeah, well.
How lazy can somebody be?
The 3 of us would just be like, throw this in the bag and grab a different mod and get done with it. But not everybody is in that situation. I try to look at it from their perspective.
They should be. They're in the wrong perspective. Buy more devices. Come on, you had more than one cigarette lighter in case you couldn't find one. Stashed all around your house. Buy more mods.
Hell yeah.
It's a carton of cigarettes you would have spent and had ashes anyway. Buy another mod.
Besides, your mod is probably obsolete. By the time you have viewed this video, your mod is obsolete. Trust me, if it's in your hand, it's obsolete.
The version 2 is already out.
You are not lying about that shit, man, because oh god, it's like being a kid loving toys, and you can look at these websites and it's all day long. It's like bam, 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 they're kicking out something. Or I think perfect example was I had the iStick 30 messing with it, and as soon as I got it, the 50 was coming out like a week later.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, shit, if I'd just waited a little longer, I could have had the extra wattage to it, but
yeah.
They pump them out, though.
I had actually bought a whole bunch of iStick 30 watts when, like, the 20 watt was great, and then we heard the 30 watt was coming out, and I jumped right on that and ordered, like, a bunch of them. I'm like 40 or 50 of them. I did a group buy with some friends, so I ended up having, and by the time I literally opened it up, it was right after the Chinese New Year, the 50 watt, nobody wanted to buy it because they were going to wait for the 50 watt. And then I was like, well, the only feature of this then is it's smaller, not the fact that it's 30 watts that size. It kind of screwed me up a little bit, but I moved them eventually.
Now that joker is small as hell, though.
It is nice for like the size for certain. That as a nifty little.
But I tell you what, you do high wattage for a while, and then you just kind of look around. Well, let me get nostalgic real quick. Pick this thing up. It's like, man, this sub-bitch won't do anything.
How long does it take to get a vape off this thing?
Hell yeah.
But like smokers, when they pick that up with like a Kanger Nano or Mini sub-tank, they're like coughing, and it's a lot of vapor for them. So that's a perfect setup for a brand new vapor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's small, it's sleek, it's cute. It looks somewhat respectable. It doesn't look like, you're not walking around with a monster. Like, I get so many ugly looks with this thing.
I liked the original K-Box. The original K-Box for a good starter mod. Not the new sub-box. The new sub-box doesn't have a spring-loaded connection. So, I already had a friend kill his 510.
Damn.
As a matter of fact, here it is right here. As I was trying to replace the 510 with a spring-loaded Fat Daddy vape, I burnt the chip out.
Oops.
I had to give him my white one. I bought the white one just so I could get the rebuildable tank in the white atomizer. So the white atomizer goes with my boxer here pretty nicely.
All right. Well, let me ask this: what sense does it make to go backwards? You had spring loaded, then you go not having it?
Yeah, no, there's no sense in that. And if you have dealt with any non-spring-loaded 510s, you know that they have a service life, and it's short.
Yeah. Huh, that's bad. I thought that they had that.
So I'm confused. If it's not spring-loaded, some devices just won't work on it if they're not long enough, or
some devices won't work on it when it's not long enough. Plus, the little rubber gasket that they use between the 510 pin and the rest of the 510, it starts to wear out. Like as you push down on it and it heats up, and you pull off and you push down, it heats up. That gets loose and starts to the 510 pin starts to sink even further. So even stuff that worked when you first got the mod might stop working on you. That's what happened to my friend on this mod.
Now was he using the tank that came with it when it shit out?
He was using that and the Atlantis, which the two tanks are practically identical. They have the same kind of 510, the same length 510. So he was using those two, and the Atlantis stopped working first, and then the Kanger tank.
Because that would make me think that Kanger's gone the route, hey, we're only going to be able to use our tanks on this device, and not really, which, I don't know.
No, it's just a shitty 510 that, like, if you pull the tank off and put it on, 50 times, it's probably not going to work as well anymore.
Well,
how long did it take for that to fail after your buddy bought it?
It was months, but he's brand new to vaping, so he would have kept the original Kanger tank on there for a really long time, and then he got the Atlantis, and then he had a reason to switch it out. So I don't imagine he was doing like I switch up Addies.
Oh yeah.
I might switch Addies in the middle of this conversation just because that one has juice in it that I want to taste.
Right. Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, that's a fail, but it's not a very expensive. The whole setup there with the box and the tank is only like what, $80-$90 or something like that.
Yeah, but the same price as the original K box. So the original K box has spring loaded. That's why I said my favorite beginner is the original K box because it just works the way it's supposed to all the time.
The only thing about the original K box that I didn't care for, the settings to it. All you had was just your little white light to indicate what I think what setting you were on, or there was no type of readout. And to me, for a beginner, they might need to actually see something opposed to just a little white light lit up somewhere.
Yeah, they didn't have the resistance, and the wattage was only selectable. It wasn't like you could scroll through all the wattages. But at the same time, for a beginner, like I build my coils and stuff, but a beginner doesn't build coils, so they don't really need the ohm checker as long as they're getting a 0.5 coil from Kanger and they stick it in there. What's the point of checking? You don't need the ohm on that, right?
That's true.
True.
Well, that kind of shocks me though, because I mean Kanger's pretty big in this, and of course all I've got is Kanger tanks, but I have to say all the ones I've got so far I've been happy with.
I feel like they maybe needed to get a product out there in the market to compete with Joytech. They possibly rushed it just to put it out into the market to put their foot in that spot.
Probably so.
Sometimes they have to look at these things and say, okay, you're gonna tarnish your reputation, and people are gonna back off with their trust after you did all of this to gain the trust on beautiful sub tanks for beginners and everything else that they're doing. So,
oh, definitely.
They're running the race sometimes in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt their reputation, that non-spring loaded 510, because everybody's gonna have a problem with it. The same problems everybody had with non-spring loaded 510s.
And you're a pretty crafty guy, and you crack that open to try and fix it or do some type of like retrofit. And would you say just
I wouldn't try it again. I don't think it can be done.
Okay.
Like not reasonably, because the way the 510 is designed, there's absolutely no space. So the replacement 510s are just slightly bigger on the base, and that interferes with the board, and it ended up shorting it out, and like there's no space in there to do anything with it.
So they designed the box, and then they forgot to size it, measure it to see if they could get a spring-loaded 510, And they were like, yeah, but we love the box, so just put that thing in there, and nobody will notice the difference.
Hell yeah.
We notice these things. But there's nothing worse than, and it's, hey, listen, I can buy a device and have it not work out great, and that's fine. I'll live. I'm still heavy into vaping. I'm not going and buying a pack of cigarettes. But the new vapor, that happens to somebody. They just invested $100 and they're like tentatively taking their first step into this. And if it fails, then the alternative is they throw the baby out with the bathwater and go back to smoking and feel ripped off for $100.
Yeah.
All right. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's no worse than those little e-cigarettes down at the convenience store, and pretty much most of the vape pens that are out there. You know, disappointing experience, make you think switching to vaping is not, not for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I always tell people that get on it. And like I said, Daryl knows this, but this was my first thing I started with right here. Now, and this lasted a good long while. I mean, but, this is, you'd spend a little bit of money on this setup opposed to maybe the Vapor Shop's name brand little battery or whatever they've stamped their, name on. But I tell people you need to spend a little extra money on a better product because you're going to get disappointed right off the bat and you're going to say the hell with this and not even fool with it.
Yeah, you're definitely not getting away with the $10 down at the local convenience store.
Oh, hell no.
Enjoy or anything like that. That's not getting anybody anywhere.
I've never had anybody, and I talk to a lot of smokers, and it's one of the favorite things I love to do is help smokers start vaping the right way. And I've never had anybody sit there and begrudge spending a little bit extra money to get quality. In fact, it makes more sense to them because there's already an inherently built-in budget in their habit of smoking.
Exactly.
Whether you live in, what does a pack of cigarettes cost in Louisiana? $6, $5?
They're up to about $6 here.
So, that's
up where you're at. You're in New York, so you're paying what, $9.80 a pack or something like that?
Exactly. Yeah, $9.80. Yeah.
That's not a joke. That's not a joke. That's probably pretty close to there.
It's exactly spot on. You give them a $10 bill, you get a couple of pennies back. That's it. And that's how New York State is balancing their budget, that extra $4. But yeah, so like I had a $400 a month budget that I was already spending on cigarettes. So when I walked into a vape shop, I looked at the low end stuff. I said, "Don't give me that. I'm gonna." If I bought a car, I wouldn't go for the base model anyway. I would want some goodies. Give me the one that I'm not going to come back to in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and I still ended up getting something that like an Ego style, and I went through about 7 or 8 devices in the first 4 weeks that I was vaping, and I didn't care because if one didn't work out, I was going to find the next one. Thankfully, YouTube was on it. I got to watch other people. Like I didn't really trust the vape shops that I was going to at the time because they were trying to sell me stuff.
No, they will try and sell you crap at certain vape shops. I've brought a couple of newbies into a vape shop around here and had them try and sell them unregulated mods with like 0.2 coils and stuff like. I'm like, you guys, this is a brand new vapor. He needs something regulated, something simple to use, something you just fill up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So somewhere between sticking this in a smoker's face and going, hey, look at my build, and the Ego twist that God held up, somewhere between there's got to be a happy ground, and you know what that is? That is the iStick. That is the Kangar product, which is that new box that's festering. But that's the middle ground. The not the $25 to $50 one, the $75 to $100 or $110. But it's got to be reliable.
What's that MVP Pro go for?
It actually came in a kit, so I got. You get the little iSub G with it, which this is a piece of crap tank. Believe me, you sound like a train going down the street because it's loud as hell. But the kit cost me right at $74, and to be honest, the device itself is almost worth that. It's got a 4,500 milliamp battery, So even stroking it for 60 watts, I can go easy 2.5 days, and it'll be at a point where I need to start recharging it.
So that's a pretty nice device for a beginner then, I would think.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And like I said, it's that one's kind of like, if I've accidentally let all the batteries go dead, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, that's my kind of quick pickup mod to kind of mess around with until everything gets back up and charged. So
it's not possible for me to run low on charged batteries. I have at least a couple dozen different kinds here.
But I was telling Daryl the other day, I'm probably going to do this next week, but I was having mixed feelings on it because of the battery. I was thinking about doing that Sigeli 75 watt, that new temp control model. The only bad thing about it is it being 75 watt and it only runs one 18650. So which means I'm probably going to be going through at least roughly 2 batteries a day on it, I would think, especially on a weekend. But man, it's such a small device. It's not much bigger than the Vapor Shark, and that's a little tiny thing right there. So
I am loving temperature control devices, man. I'm glad they're becoming more and more simple for people to use, because I think that's the holy grail of quitting smoking. Because the only next thing that a smoker has as a problem is they burn their coil. You know what I'm saying? That has that burnt taste for the rest of the time that they're vaping on it. So temperature control solves that issue.
All right, let me ask this question real quick. If the vaping world came to an end today, you could no longer get anything, what would be your favorite sub-ohm tank out there right now? And I'm asking 2 people that I'm sure I know what I'm probably going to get hit with.
I think this UL. I think this UL would be fine enough for me.
I would have to agree on that. One coil lasts 2.5, 3 weeks. It's a great vape. I can rock that at 80 to 90 watts. The flavor's great. I don't have any problem with the UL. I have a good stockpile of coils, so if vaping ended tomorrow, I'd probably have a couple of years worth of vaping worth of coils. I hoard. What can I say? I hoard juice, and I hoard mods and coils. There's stuff that I don't want to run out of.
If vaping does end tomorrow, you guys all have my number. I'll be on the black market immediately making mods.
Awesome.
I know exactly what diodes and capacitors I need to put together to make a mod happen. So that's not a problem over there. They cannot take that ability away from me.
That's right.
True.
That's right. And everybody will be DIYing. I'll be growing eggplants in my backyard for natural sources of nicotine.
Well, I know that there's one tank coming out. Of course, you know, like I said, I'm big into the tanks. Smoke has got a new tank coming out. I don't know the prefix to it. It's like a VCT4 or some shit like that. They say that right there is supposed to just knock them all out of the water. So I think I'm going to try to get my hands on one of those. But I'm running this Freemax Star, and dude, I couldn't be more happier with this tank. You can run the Atlantis coils in it. You can, whatever. It's just all around good taste. You can run it up high wattage. So
now, have you seen any of the Addies where they have like a replaceable chimney section, so that you can use like the Atlantis coils and other people's coils too? You just replace the chimney spot and plug in a new coil.
Damn, I hadn't seen that, and I'm pretty big into tanks. I figured I knew all about it. So
I think Joytech might have that.
That's smart.
Well, now you want to talk about Joytech? I do. I am one of the Delta 2 folks. So Daryl said his is he uses his as what? It's not used for vaping anymore, is it?
I used it when it first came out. It was like the next best thing after the Tanger sub-tank and the Atlantis, and then the Delta 2 came out, and I used that for probably about a month until the Arctic came out, and now it's somewhere in my stockpile of stuff. It probably has juice. It probably has juice in it right now.
Hey, did you ever do the rebuildable deck for your Delta 2?
I did.
How did you like that compared to the stock coils?
You know, I liked it better. I used the stock coils that came with it, and they were great. They had that little adjustable airflow on the coil itself, which was cool. And then as you know, a couple of weeks went by, and I used up my stock coils. I went to the rebuildable. I liked it. It was very good. It was a quality design. I think the Delta 2 was like, I wasn't around back in the day when Joytech was around, and I heard they got into a squabble over copyright issues with, or like patent issues with somebody, and then they kind of went under the radar for a while. But their emergence back into the market was the Delta 2, and then now look at them. They've got a whole line of great products that are reliable and each with their quirks. But to answer your question, I liked the rebuild deck on the Delta 2. It was great. There's nothing wrong with it. I guess I don't have any gripe with that at all. It was a little tricky filling it. You had that kind of narrow gap that you had to go between the wall and the chimney.
Yes.
But other than that, you know, that's the cross to bear in vaping. Not everything is going to be so convenient. I bought like syringes for that purpose, so that I could refill like my K-Fun back when I used that. And
well, what people don't realize too, the only reason why that juice system was so hard to fill in there, the chimney to it is massive because it had a massive coil that went into it. So yes. It was just real estate issue. You know, you had to do something.
That was, at the time, the only thing else you had was the Kanger sub-tank full size and the Atlantis, and those both only really went up to like 30, 35 watts. And then here comes the Delta 2. You could rock it at 65 watts, which I did, and it handled itself pretty well. So yeah, and it needed that wide open chimney just to be able to handle the airflow.
Definitely. You got me wanting to throw something else on now.
I'm dripping the whole time. You guys are real tanks.
I got one other tank with me today. It's the Aromamizer tank by Steam Crave.
Heard good things about that. How do you like it?
It's pretty good. The rebuildable deck on it's nice size. I had to raise the coils up because the air holes are a little high on it, but I hear this is because I have a pre-release model, and the actual model the holes are down a little bit. But
what kind of build do you usually like to do on rebuildables, or does it vary based on the size and the room you've got?
Yeah, it's actually more like the device that I plan it to go on. I like mostly building nickel coils, simple nickel coils if I can get away with it. But depending on the device, I might build a couple Canthal coils and stuff to get nice high wattage, thick, hot vapor.
It's tough to keep track of what I have in which. Do you ever do you do drip though, right?
Yeah. I have the Aromamizer dripper as well. The little hexagon model there.
Cool.
And then I got some plume veils and a tugboat. But this one right here makes it so that I don't really have to pick up a dripper anymore. I just pull the top off of the Rebel and start dripping on that if I feel like it.
I am definitely intrigued by that tank. I have something like a big dripper that you kind of squirt and it doesn't work too well and it leaks all over the place, and I just use it as a RDA. But that is interesting. They did that well. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's a solid connection all the way through to the 510. It's not like where the Kanger coils have to touch the pin and stuff, and that makes bad temperature control. This is drilled all the way through and connected to the 510 through a screw, so your temperature control coils are really accurate.
Interesting. Hey, Scott, would you mind, after we get done, when you're editing this, if you can grab a link for that, would you mind getting us a link where we could get that?
Sure.
I think I need to have one of those in my life.
Yeah. I have two of them just because it's such an awesome design. And you can make it to where it has two holes, and like if you run a dual coil, it'll drip right down on both coils. The only downside to it is it's only 3 mils. You go through this tank when you're dripping pretty quickly.
I bet. Hey, when I seen you with that right there, I almost thought that was the Silo Beast. That's the reason why I was going to ask you about that. But does anybody have a Silo Beast?
No.
I've heard a lot of good things about those, but you know, they're a little bit on the pricey side. I think they're running about $45-50 on those.
That's okay. For a good tank, I spend it.
Oh yeah.
Now, I wouldn't spend no $200 on or $150 on a Addy like some of these designer ones are charging.
Well, you've got one that's roughly around 200. That one, I don't know where you got it at. What is it? That crazy ass name. What's that one you held up a second ago?
Oh, the Earl. This
The
is
Earl
actually a rip-off Earl that has the airflow isn't in the bottom. It's out the side. They added this bottom part to it, but it's the same kind of design as the Earl cone again.
Okay, now the authentic ones run about $180-200.
Yes, very expensive, way out of my price league.
Well, the thing that sucks about that, you get a tank like that right there, and it's just like any of these other tanks. You have one little mishap, it's a lot of money down the drain right there. Especially
I mean, for me, it's not that so much as it is like, what if I get that Earl Conigan for 180 and then I get an atomizer like, a month later for $30 and it does way better than it.
Exactly.
Like, I can't. It's like shooting my foot off.
It's the risk you got to take in vaping.
So, here's a good question. What's the most expensive single thing you've gotten in vaping since you started vaping? That you...
I don't mind.
What's your single biggest investment in vaping?
Right here. The Vapor Shark, which was about 180.
Yeah, I've heard your frustration story on that one.
Oh, I didn't. I apologize. What is your name again? Because my name's
Zach.
I'm sorry, Zach. Okay, Zach. I bought this Vapor Shark at Memorial Day. 3 weeks later, they introduced the Vapor Flask that Vapor Shark's doing, and they knocked the price down from $189 down to $130. 3 weeks later, I'm like, gosh, damn it.
I think the biggest one, the most expense I have is I have a Shapeways project that I probably put about $300 into.
What is that?
It's a U mod. Let me see if I have it right here. And actually, no, I got it all in pieces right now. But it was about a little bit bigger than the Flask. It was a dual battery, and it could take. When I first bought it, it was for the SX350, the regular one, and then I bought the DNA faceplate and added a DNA to it, and then he came out with the SX350J faceplate, and I added that to it. So really, the cost was spread out over me trying to upgrade it. And now it's just sitting on the side taken apart because it's bigger than any of my other dual battery mods.
So you're bigger into the Yeehee than you are the DNA stuff.
Yeah, I have a DNA device right here, 40-watt dual battery device. But I love the way the Yeehee has so many options on it. It's like, all the modes, powerful, powerful plus, eco mode, and then in addition to that, you can adjust your joules and you can adjust your temperature. So you have all these different vapes you can find yourself in.
Yeah. And you can update it, which now with the 200, they finally are updatable on those. But
the other thing too is you can run this in a single battery or a series configuration, and it will automatically switch between 60 and 120 watts.
Oh damn!
Yeah, so like I could put a switch on the side of here and run the batteries through the switch so that I could switch it automatically, but it's not really useful because the batteries that you use in series are not the same batteries you want to use in parallel. You can use higher mAh batteries in parallel, and in series you need higher amp batteries, which are generally lower mAh.
That's nice.
But this is my favorite right now, and it only cost me $130 altogether.
All right, what about you, Daryl?
I don't see you guys ever using mech mods over there, but I did buy a rig in Roughneck, and I didn't get it new, but I bought it used off of a guy for $180. That's the most money I slapped down for one thing in vaping, and I love it. It's a brass tube mech mod, and it's heavy. You could knock somebody out with that. But other than that, pretty much the same usual stuff. I haven't gone heavy into the high-end regulated mods, just IPD, Sigali, stuff like that.
I got a mech, but I just use it for testing. It's a little penny mod,
Okay.
all copper and everything like that. But I just use it because I want to test high amp batteries at really low ohm resistance and see how it performs. These, by the way, these HB6s, LG HB6s, they're 1500 mAh, and they like. I haven't been able to get one to heat up. Let me put it to you that way. I have not been able to get one to heat up, and I have run this thing to where I've run it to where there's little burn marks in the bottom. Okay, from the spark jumping from the switch and stuff, and still not heat up the battery.
What do you consider to be low sub-ohm?
Like I ran that at 0.07 or something like that. It was really low, and still not able to get it to where it was too hot for me to really vape comfortably.
So like the battery stays cool, and the rest of the mod and the Addy are like really just like.
Yeah, the top of the thing's burning up, and when I pulled the battery out, because I'm thinking, shit, if it's that hot, I don't want, I want to make sure the battery's okay, and the battery's still cool.
No kidding. Wow. Which battery was that? The LG which one?
HB6. It's a white battery.
No kidding. Okay. I'm up here in like cloud competition land where all the shops, basically the vape community here when they get together is a cloud competition. So there's a very big culture of low sub-ohm. They limit the competitions to 0.1 on build. Otherwise, guys will go a lot lower than that. And and it's fine for the guys that know what they're doing and have been around vaping for a while. What you got there?
That is a quad coil twisted Canthal 28 gauge, I want to say. But it clocks in at, let me see, might be too low for any of my devices to see.
That looked like a Plumeveil. Was that a Plumeveil deck?
Yeah, it's a Plumeveil. I got two of them that I use for side-by-side testing. Let's see here.
It's fun talking to you. You know all that technical shit.
See, this says
that I like, but I
this says 0.11, but I think it might actually be lower than that. I think let me see here.
And I noticed, like, while you're talking about low sub-ohm, you're also pointing at your laptop, like you've done some math and you've done some calculations, and you know exactly what you're expecting out of it before you just like, oh, my buddy did that and he got big clouds, so let me do that and then go a little further into the void.
Oh no, I like to know about everything before I do it. That way I'm not,
That way when a mishap happens, you'll be like, well, I won't do that again.
Well, most of the time I'm like, when a mishap happens, I'm like, I knew that was a possibility, but I didn't think I was that close to it.
Well, he's not Zach. He's the mad scientist of vaping, so he sounds like you got a hell of a lab over there.
I do, man. If you've seen inside my shop, I got, a drill press. I got, it's not even really my shop. This is a spare bedroom in my house that has been turned into a shop. Like the soldering iron, magnifying glasses, all the little, holders and stuff like that. Pieces of mods all over the place here. There's mods taken apart everywhere here. I got, look, just to give you an idea, little vapor flask all torn to pieces.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love building. I love building stuff, man. I love electronics. I've always loved electronics. So when I found out the structure of a vaporizer, how it works, I was like, oh, that's fucking brilliant. I can build that, like right here, right now. In fact, this board right here would build a ridiculous fucking mod. A ridiculous mod. And this
came out of a lawnmower.
I buy all these circuits like shit. I got capacitors and resistors and all kinds of crazy shit over here that I use to build test circuits.
What do you do for a living?
I build computers for like the high-end industry, like musicians and 3D design artists and AutoCAD users and stuff like that. When you need a computer that is going to perform at the top of its game for a long time, that's me.
Well, cool. Okay. So you come with a skill set that you know about that stuff. It's foreign language to me. I looked at that chip and I was like, what? I suspect there's something like that inside what I use, but I would know which end was which on that.
To put that chip simply, I stick a battery in one end and an atomizer on the other end and jump it up, and that thing will blow an atomizer up.
Well, what did you actually start on when you started vaping?
I started on this, as a matter of fact. Let's see here. This little Vaporfy Ego style.
Okay.
And then of course a Pro Tank.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't variable wattage. It wasn't variable anything. And the tank kept flooding. That's why I ended up switching to a better mod, because there wasn't enough voltage in this thing to like eat the juice up quick enough.
Gotcha.
So this has been sort of a reminder for me of what not to do when it comes to vaping.
How long ago did you start vaping, Zach?
Back in February, seriously, is when I stopped smoking completely.
Of this year?
Yep.
Wow. Cool.
So
the learning curve's pretty steep and fast when you're into it.
Yeah, well, like I said, once I figured out the electronics behind the vaporizer, it became like second knowledge to me. All this stuff is stuff I already practiced and knew, and now I know how it results in a vape for us. So yeah, it's home base for me, vaping.
Very cool. So I guess the next evolution, do you ever think you're going to go into like custom making mods for people, or?
I've been custom making mods for people out of various enclosures, like Shapeways enclosures, Hammond boxes. Whenever there is, a need for it, if somebody asks me and I got the time on my hands, I'll take on projects, no doubt.
That's cool. Very cool. Great to know.
You might have to be my next box builder then.
Hey, if you think of something you want that's not out there, let me know. I might be able to find a way to put it in your hands.
I've definitely been interested on, but you've got my mind even thinking more. I really want to go with that new DNA 200. I guess just because of the capability of things you can do with it. Really,
the software is supposed to be ridiculous.
Yes. And, there is a beta run that somebody did a review on, just giving you kind of a quick glance on the computer screen, showing you everything that's going on with it. I'm like, man, that's awesome right there.
Yeah, and you want to hear the funny thing? I call it the DNA Yeehee edition, because I kept going into the DNA forums and the DNA Facebook and complaining that, like, oh, the DNA is so awesome, until they come out with DNA Rev 4, and then your DNA chip is obsolete. Like if I bought 100 chips, and then next week they decide to come out with Rev 4 with Addy Lock or whatever, all my mods that I built with that chip are suddenly obsolete. It's bullshit. So I was like, look, you need to do firmware updating like the SX chips. And man, I took so much heat for that. We can't, release the source code and let people, I'm like, dude, you're falling behind. And then I was like, your wattage. You can't sell people 40 watts these days. You got to do something better than that. Oh no, 40 watts is perfect for temp control. You don't know what you're talking about. Da, da, da. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. I'll let Yeehee take a huge chunk of your share, and then we'll be talking about your DNA 200.
I got a question for you. So, and I never had a Hana. And the Hana is what? That's the DNA, right?
Yeah, I got one of those ripped apart right here as well.
And the Vapor Shark is the Evolve.
Yes.
Chip. And then the Yeehee is the Yeehee is in the IPv3 Li.
It's in all the Sigelli devices.
XX Mini.
All the Pioneer for You devices like the IPVs, and then the SX Mini devices. Those are from Yeehee. And now, because they're so popular, you're starting to see they're going to come out with a Vapor Flask Yeehee edition. That's going to have the Yeehee chip in it.
Were the DNA and the Vapor Shark able to set joules?
No, well they set watts.
Or is that a Yeehee thing?
That's a Yeehee thing.
Okay, joules, I like that thing, by the way.
Joules is just watts.
Okay.
It's the same thing as watts. It's the exact same thing as watts.
What Yeehee has done, though, they have, the DNA has limited you to 40 watts. That's the highest you can go on temp control. Now, like with our device at stock, we can go to 50, but with the upgrade, we can go to 100 joules. But I think really...
Only on titanium.
On titanium, exactly. And I think we talked about that, Darryl. I was telling you that.
I just ordered 50 feet to get in. Since they did the update for this, I have to get 50 feet of titanium to try it out.
All right, good question. I'm glad you just brought this up because this was another topic of discussion. What are your feelings about vaping on titanium?
It should be perfectly safe as long as you're not like. Here's the thing. I would be a little worried to run a titanium on a not very well built DNA device. And the reason is because DNA auto detects between nickel or titanium and wattage, and it might accidentally jump out of temp control and into wattage mode, and if that happens, then titanium's dangerous. Like, it can sparkle and stuff. Like the white you see in fireworks, that's titanium dioxide, which is what happens when you overheat titanium wire. So it can actually spark up and flare up. Like, if you stuck titanium wire on a mech mod and just let that sucker go, I'm pretty sure you can get it to flare up and spark out.
All right, now I know that, or at least what I hear, 600 is really where you ought to be at max on temp for nickel. Now, what is it for? I know you can go higher on titanium, but what is the boundaries you want to go with that?
I'm pretty sure it's like I want to say it's like up in the 1100, 1200 Fahrenheit zone.
Oh, okay. Well, so you can really exceed on that one.
Yeah, you're way under the mark as far as that goes.
Okay.
As long as it remains in temp control, because just like with nickel coils, as soon as it gets red, we're in the red.
Exactly.
Huh.
That's why we do cotton burn tests and all that kind of stuff to make sure we're not exceeding on there. But
I mean, the danger is when you have half the knowledge and you don't have all the knowledge and you think you know what you're doing, but you really don't. And I am guilty of this, and I'll confess this. That, I was doing a nickel build for dripping, and I was like, oh well, let me go and heat it up with pulseless coils and pinch them like I would normally do a Canthal. You're not supposed to do that. So I was sitting there, and I got a massive headache, and that is not what you want to do. So if I did it, other people are doing it, and I'm talking about it because I'm not ashamed of making mistakes. Thank God I'm alive. Hopefully I don't have the headache anymore. It only lasted for like an hour. But that's something that's very easily done if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know the dangers of it. So
even if you do know what you're doing, like I'm sure you've made this mistake before. You just said it earlier in the episode. It's hard to remember what coil you built on a certain atomizer. So even an experienced person like myself might accidentally stick a titanium coil on a wattage device and fire it, not thinking in my head this is a Canthal coil on here, and actually it's a nickel coil or a titanium coil, and I've made that mistake.
well, I know mistakes can be made on this, but I think, well, I know I'm fairly new into it. Darryl's been doing it a while. I don't know exactly how long you've been doing it, Zach, but we also do reviews beyond here, and I think it's only our job to give the most correct information out there we can give, because we surely don't want to hurt people.
Right.
So, but my knowledge in titanium, and like I've told Darryl, I work with titanium, but I work with it in implants for the human body. So, of course, I'm not vaping on that, but I never knew what the temperature limits were to that, and I damn sure don't want to get on here reviewing something going, oh yeah, roll hard with it. You ain't got shit to worry about, because that would never be my intention. So
no, the biggest concern with titanium and why everybody's so watch out about it is that, like, if you overheat a nickel coil, it'll tend to melt the nickel and break the coil, and like it'll fuck the coil up. You really can't vape on a burnt nickel coil very long. But a titanium coil, if it goes bad, it doesn't just break. It's supposed to, from what I understand, start sparking up and stuff like that. So the failure of a nickel is kind of bad. The failure of a titanium is like dangerous to your face.
Exactly.
The juice might not be worth the squeeze on that one. I have not vaped on titanium wire. Is it any different of a vape? Is it such a pleasurable experience that it's worth that?
I don't know because, like I said, I just ordered a 50-foot roll of the titanium, and this is the first device I have that will actually accommodate titanium. So I will update that on one of our future episodes. But my thought is that if the coil is wet, right, that should coat the titanium and make it so that it's not really easy for it to oxidize and create titanium dioxide. So I would think that it's probably going to be, for temp control devices, safer and cleaner and easier to use. That's how I imagine it. Although I, reserve opinion until I actually get some in my hands, and I'll fuck up with it. I'll intentionally fuck it up and see what happens, just to know, if you do this, you fucked up, and that's like I said, why I have the mech mod. The reason I have that mech mod is because I was trying to make batteries explode. That is really hard to do.
Were you successful?
No, you can't hold the mod at the point at which, before the point at which it explodes. Like, the battery in the mod gets so freaking hot that you'd have to have oven mitts or something and still be trying to fire it in order for you to vent the battery. It just gets too hot.
Well, you appear to have 2 hands left, so I guess you are good.
I had a safe setup when I was trying to burst him, and
not the face, no.
I had my little shirt ninja mask, where you take the t-shirt and tuck. No, man, I was safe.
Get a t-shirt there. That's good. That's crazy, man. I dig that.
All right. Any of y'all got new products coming in that you know about or wanting to get to do or anything?
I mean, as much as I hate the idea of the DNA 200, I have to get one to see for myself. The reason I got this was because like I said, vaping moderation, that's my channel. I believe in vaping with moderation. And so I'm of the mindset that 220 watts is fucking completely unnecessary. So I got this device to prove to myself, and so that I wouldn't sound ignorant when I said 220 watts is unnecessary. I could tell you now, I can't see how it's necessary. It blows your face off. It will light fires. Like a wet coil will jump on fire. You will actually get to ignition point on propylene glycol, which I didn't even know existed.
Okay. And I did some videos on exactly that because I was being mocked and taunted, and not in an insulting way, more of a playful way. But because I had this 260 watt semi, they make
after a while, yeah.
So it boils down to the build. So if you try and vape like 0.1, 0.2 ohms on your typical low sub-ohm type of setup, it's going to fireball you. That's not fun. I've done that, but you get 26 gauge Canthal, you do a dual coil with like 12 to 15 wraps, so you got 30 wraps of metal with 26 gauge, comes out to about a 0.8, 0.9 ohm, and that's an intense vape. And you can, you probably won't get up to 220 watts on that if it's regular. Well, yeah, so like a 0.3, 0.4, but with a lot of wraps of metal, you just have to have something for that heat to go into. And then it's a very intense vape. I got a couple of videos of me sitting in my garage, like vaping on it. It was worth doing. I don't do it every day, but I wanted to at least demonstrate it's not necessarily a satanically hot vape.
I was also thinking, have you tried any of the like art coils, like the Clapton, Caterpillar? I was thinking those heavy-duty coils would probably, like a high amount of wattage, would probably do well on a real, thick coil that has a lot of metal, like you were saying, a lot of space to heat up.
Yeah, they do. They're like a Hughes Clapton with like 10 wraps. It's got to be big, like you know, you go in there with a 4 or 5 wrap Clapton, it's not going to be enough metal. But yeah, you're exactly right. Try it with like, you know, make some Claptons or buy some strains of Clapton and do like a 10 wrap on each side dual coil, and you'd be amazed at the flavor intensity from that. And then, you know, being able to vape like that is one area that, to me, that, okay, why do I need all of this other stuff to get flavor? I could just get flavor that way. But then again, you do blow through a lot of juice, and it's very intense. A couple of hits on that, and you're like done vaping for the night. But it can be done, and it's not dangerous, and it's not crazy to do. It's another experience. You know, why do some people drive Lamborghinis and other people drive SUVs? It's a different experience. You're getting from point A to point B, but some people like to do it faster.
I always looked at it like, you know, like I might not drive my car at 120 miles per hour, but I like that it has that on the speedometer. Like, I like that it's available to me.
Yes.
So I like having the 220 watt device. I haven't gotten rid of it, sold it, or given it away or anything, because a part of me is like, yeah, if I need 220 watts, if I need to put the pedal to the metal, I have the ability.
It's available. I have a box mod being made for me. I'm not in a rush, and the guy's taking his, you know, he's all right. He does it in his spare time. But I got a triple 26650 unregulated box mod. Yeah, it's like that wide. And the guy's, I saw one of his boxes at a vape show in Pennsylvania, and it's going to be parallel. So that would be crazy to do it in series, but he could do it in series if he wanted it. But it's a parallel triple 26650, and it's going to be purple. With some sort of cool artwork, and I was just like, yeah, man, this is what I want. If you can do it, great. And I paid him, and you know, I might be ready in the next couple of weeks. When I get that beast, then I'll be sporting it. Now I got to go order some batteries for it.
Yeah, triple. I think on the 26650s you can get 5,000 mAh batteries.
They do have them. I'm going to go with like the Green E-Fest 4000 or 4200 milliamp hour, something like that. But yeah, I've seen the 5,000.
That's still ridiculous. You're gonna have 12,600 mAh, 12.6 amp hours. Like, you can't even talk in mAh when you get to that high. You have to talk in just straight amp hours.
Weeks. I got, how many weeks of battery charge do I have?
Damn. Have you ever seen the guy from Convicted Vapes? He's got the big coffin.
Coffin, yeah.
Good.
That thing
With
is
10
cool.
batteries in it. I saw that, and you know what? That's too crazy, but 3 is okay. No, I love that video he's got.
You know what I've been wondering? Where is the desktop mod? Right? Like, you know, if you have you ever heard of a volcano? Right? Volcano's been around for a quarter of a century, for crying out loud, and it's for the you know, the marijuana group where they vaporize on that, and it's a desktop model. It's a desktop model that has like an adjustable. It almost looks like a soldering iron. Has an adjustable thing, and you can vape off of it, and it's plugged into the wall. Right? So I'm like, you're sitting at your desk right now. You're sitting at your desk right now. Why are we wasting batteries when we have outlets right here that provide 120 volts of 20 amps worth of power at 120 volts? I mean, we got plenty of power right here. Why are we even touching the battery while we're sitting at our desk?
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Me and Daryl will be your financial backers. You build it.
That's what we need right there. And then imagine the wattage you could do on that. You could have it crank up to 300 watts if you wanted to, pretty easily, because you would have no space limitation.
But see, that is the selling point for these companies that tell you all these devices have pass-through. So you can think that you're sitting here and your device is staying charged while you're doing your thing, but you're really not.
Right. You're losing charge all day every time you vape. But if you had it plugged into the wall and it was actually like a desktop model that ran AC only.
And if you had a charging cable that was longer than this, so you're not like down by the outlet trying to vape, which isn't feasible. I think portability is important because you never know when you're going to want to grab your vape and walk. But you know what? Having a nice gentleman's vape that sits there on the desk, it's not portable, but you have it right in the spot where you usually spend most of your time. That's a good idea.
And vape shops would benefit from that because like they're sitting around all day. I mean, it'd be cool if you could have like the replaceable cartomizers on there for people to test flavors and stuff. And you're not wasting anybody's battery. Everybody can set a wattage that they like. You know.
I have seen at vape conventions and shows where big juice companies that have like 10, 12, 15 flavors of juice, instead of having a whole bunch of testers as mods, they'll have like a vape station and they have, you know, like, and I've looked underneath and it's all wired, but it is plugged into AC current, and they have 12 to 15 of these, and they just put an Addy on top. It's got a fire button. It's got regulation. It does have chip technology, and but they're not walking. They're not sitting there fiddling and changing out batteries all day long on the testers. So there is, it's doable.
Yeah, there's actually oxygen bars down in New Orleans. Before I started vaping, I noticed this, that basically are vaping just flavor liquid, and their desktop, I mean, it's like a bar. You sit at it, you choose a flavor, and you vape away on it. That's been around for years and stuff, and that must be a desktop model.
Well, hey, I'll do the outdoor version and have a long extension cable to go with it.
You could always have a like a car charger version too, like a plug for the car, and you bring it with you in the car.
Aspire does have something like that. Aspire does have like a car charger device. Yeah, Anakin. Okay, I'm sorry, Anakin. You're right. Yeah. You've never seen that?
Oh yeah, it's a 2200 milliamp conversion for your car.
Huh.
So it's got like a very crazy looking adapter on one end of it, and then you just plug it into your cigarette lighter.
That's crazy.
We'd have to change it over to vape lighter now, so because we no longer do cigarettes. So.
Right. Well, hey, if you spend a lot of time in your car, like I could see truck drivers or that nobody else is in, it's not like a cab driver can't really. I guess they can, but somebody who's long haul and
yeah, I mean, it's not like you would jump in your cab and be like, "You've been smoking in here, you've been vaping in here." You jump in and be like, "Oh, that's a nice potpourri smell you got going."
Right. Better than what it smelled like before.
Yeah. This is totally different than the normal throw up in beer-soaked back seat that I normally have, man.
Hey, what's funny that you hit on that too? I have noticed more videos now of people reviewing devices of whatever that are truck drivers that are either sitting there being unloaded or getting ready to roll or at a truck stop, but they got their GoPros and all that shit set up doing reviews in the truck. So, I mean, it's everywhere now.
And look at these guys. I mean, they spend 12 to 18 hours in their truck driving. They're chain smoking. Most of the truck drivers, I don't know a whole lot of them, but the truck drivers I know, that's how they know when they're going to stop for lunch, when they're out of cigarettes. They smoke their pack in the morning, they stop for lunch, and they smoke their pack in the afternoon. And then when they're done with their second pack, that's when they pull in a motel. But here's another interesting thing. I was reading on a forum. One guy was asking, what do I do? This is back about 10 months ago. He said, what do I do? I'm a truck driver, and I go up over mountains, so I lose, like, the juice always floods in my whatever tank. And so he was asking for advice, what tanks, and the solution to that was, I think, turning the tank upside down so that it didn't, like, lose air pressure. And so he had, like, 5 or 6 tanks all ready to go every time he got in his truck. It was interesting because the guy's going up and down from altitude. So you never think about the pressure change if you're not doing that. And the alternative is he's got to pick up cigarettes because he's a nicotine guy. So I thought that was interesting. I haven't spent too much time thinking about truck drivers, but I mean, shit, everything we buy every day came in on a truck from somewhere. So these guys are out there, and that's a hard job.
And they're probably rolling with e-juice bottles the size of shampoo bottles in there because they're on the road forever. So.
And I don't want that guy driving behind me on the highway trying to drift or change out his coil. Hopefully he's got a few different devices, you know.
Hell yeah.
You don't even want him to be surprised by a lap full of juice while you're driving next to him. You're like, all of a sudden, no, what the hell? You know.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, we are at the 2-hour mark, so
I got to get out here in a few anyways. I got to feed the baby.
All righty. Well, hey, great show again. Same time, same place next week.
Got it, man.
I'll be ready for you.
All right. Zach, nice meeting you. Great having the show with you. Scott, thanks for having me on again. I'll see you next week, same time. And in the meantime, Tuesday mornings I'll be doing Tuesday noon Eastern time. I'll be doing build videos every week. Seems to be going well. You know what? I ended up leaving that video on. It's got a bunch of views, and it is what it is as far as that goes, Scott. But
I was going to ask you about that, but I didn't want to go.
Yeah, we'll talk later. Give me a call after this.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
guys.
thank you guys for letting me join in the conversation, man. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, brother. Y'all have a good one. Y'all take care.
You too, man.
Bye.